binarysearch.io all the way. It seems that people, I don't know if it's about my viewers or what, but people seem to prefer binary search over Leetcode. I also prefer binary search over Leetcode, but for sure still Leetcode is like 1,000 times more popular. Right? I think so. Marketing? Well, it's just, it exists for much longer time now. So either we do Leetcode or we do binarysearch.io or .com, whatever you prefer. Yes, Leetcode is definitely 1,000 times more popular. Almost every college, undergrad, grad, the state hears about Leetcode from friends or seniors. Exactly, that's the place to go for coding interview practice. Maybe it will change in the coming years. Can we do implementation heavy questions today? Maybe one? No. Not a lot of coding interview questions are implementation heavy. What news do we have here? Problems. I will do problems from both Leetcode and binary search today. Had an on-site Google interview today. Should I share problems here? You share problems, but I won't necessarily go through them. Do this question. Shortest subarray with sum at least k. It's so funny with coding interview questions that I read the title and I know the problem and the solution. The length of the shortest non-empty subarray of a with sum at least k. Oops. Search the blind curated 75 on Leetcode. Oh, I heard about that. Blind curated 75. So those are like most important 75 questions. Let's see. I think I know first, second, third, this. Sure. I know the first 10 problems. Combination sum must. Here I not necessarily I know this problem. Maybe they ask the number of ways to write n as the sum of numbers, and then the question is whether we care about increasing numbers or not. No, that's knapsack. I didn't guess. This is. What do we want? Those are important problems. Let's say take something from the end. And there are 74, not 75. Palindromic subtree of another tree. Let's see what this is. Maybe it's very easy. Are you taking suggestions now? Kind of, but you know, there will be then suddenly 10 suggestions and I will only be able to read one. Or like cover one. What about this? Given string S with uppercase letters, K operations. Letters you can get all repeating letters. What do they mean? Do they mean that there should be the same letter? Replace the one A in the middle with B. And from this, the substring this has longest repeating letters. Okay. As always, we can use 2 pointers. Should we start with something like that? Try 70 if you can. I guess this will be a difficult problem. Pacific Ocean touches the left and top edges of the matrix, right and bottom. Find cells connected to both oceans. What are brackets? What is this visualization? Height of each unit cell in a continent. Equal. So is this about running some kind of BFS or DFS from those cells and from those? We can start with this problem. I'm fine with that. Don't spoil. It's not that chat will spoil something for me for non-difficult coding interview problems. I guess we can start with this as a warm-up. Let me quickly move this to the side. I see chats on the side just. Whoa. We have quite a few viewers right now. Today in the morning I was supposed to get new internet provider, but something went wrong with the meeting and I still have that old buggy internet. Okay, let's do this problem. If you want to get the full statement, just Google this title on Leetcode. We have a grid. Now there is some water in the top row and in the first column. Also in another type of water is bottom and right. And now if there is some water in some cell, it can also flow to any cells. Wait a second. The water from here, from 5, will flow to anywhere to the bottom. So those cells should also be covered. From a cell to another one with height equal or lower. Right? Like if water starts from here, from 5, then also it can go down to 4 and down to 1. So 1 will be visited by both types. Can somebody explain the statement to me? Was that some troll question where nobody is able to understand it? I think Obito suggested, like, solve it if you can. Try 70 if you can. I think the direction's wrong. Find the cells that flow to oceans. Oh, find the list of grid coordinates where water can flow to both the Pacific and... Okay, I see. So like from mountain, like if in some mountain there is start of a stream or of some river, then the fact that it can go to both oceans. And then from 5, indeed, it can go here or there. So what I will do, generally, if from every cell you're supposed to run BFS and try to check if you get to some final cell here to the ocean, that's inefficient. Instead, you should go from the ocean and run and see to which mountains you will get. So I will start BFSs from the first row and from the first column. I will allow BFS or DFS to go to higher cells, neighboring cells, and I will mark them as visited. Kickstart had similar 1D version. Actually, 1D version will be quite obvious because it just, there's some increasing and decreasing parts, right? Okay, but this will be a good problem to start with. If you want, I'm pasting a link in Twitch chat. Okay, what do we have? You don't see the full code. It's very convenient to... What's up with that? Tabs instead of spaces. It's very convenient to start with this, and then you can easily iterate over rows or columns whenever you want. Like, it's ugly to have some long code and every time write, for example, iterate up to this if you want to say with columns from 0 to width -1. So there is your height and width. And I will run two things. I don't want to copy paste the code. So let's say that I want a function, or maybe I will repeat something twice. Make a function, repeat twice. In the first run, I will start BFS from those cells. I will say that those are possible and then check what else is possible. Let's do it BFS style, where there is some queue. I prefer to use vector, but you can use a queue. There is a queue, and now I will call it turn. There are two turns of my algorithm. If turn is equal 0, then add the whole first row and column. Sorry for not being consistent with pluses, don't worry about that, it doesn't matter. Q and place back 0 row, comma column. Now if I do this, one cell will be repeated. It doesn't really matter too much, but I will get rid of that repetition in a moment. I want here row. So I added first those cells for every column in the first row, row number 0. Then I added the first column, starting from row number 1, finishing at row number h-1. I should also say that those are visited, but I don't want to worry about it in an if, and instead here iterate over cells in my queue and say that visited of cell.first, cell.second is true. So I need this. Visited of size h by w. Just imagine that this is, if you are not familiar with C++, just assume it's something like this, Boolean array of size h by w. That's the equivalent thing. Quite ugly. Either it's already present in modern or in some C++20, or I'm sure it will be done in coming years. But they should allow creating multi-dimensional vectors easier. Okay, now iterate over our queue. Take this cell, or maybe, yeah, that's fine. Take this cell, iterate over 4 neighbors. As said to do, I need to do here something. If not turn is 0, then I need to add the last row and the last column. Okay, let's do it now. It would be nice to combine this in some way, because those are very similar things. When I add the first row, in the second turn I will do the same, just with the last row. So instead of if else, let's do it nicer. Here the row will be, row is, if turn is equal 0, then 0, otherwise h-1. That's called Ternary Operator. Oh, face scam is now obscuring the code. Sorry about that, just noticed. Okay, then similarly here, call is, if turn is 0 then 0, otherwise w minus 1. I will, you know, it's easy to mess up here, the height versus width. Like the longer the code, the bigger probability is that you messed it up at least once. In some problems there is a nice trick that you can fill the grid with values, like with some blocked cells or something. Like if you're given a grid of size, let's say, I don't know, 3 by 5, but it would be nice to assume that it's a square, like that. This is the input. Then there is a nice trick in competitive programming of filling this with fake blocked cells, and those will not change the answer. Let's say you need to count connected components in a grid or something like that, but you don't want to deal with height and width separately because you are afraid that you will make a mistake and you will mistake w with h. Then just add some blocked cells and now assume that the grid is n by n, it's a square. But that's an ugly hack. An interviewer will not like something like that. The fact that you're increasing the data to avoid some if. Like possibly increasing the data a lot. What will I... Okay, I had row here, column there. Nice. It should be correct. But still, even though the problem is easy for me, there is like 20% that I messed this up. So we have the first row and column, then we have a cell. We need to iterate over 4 neighbors and say that those are also possible if your height is bigger, because I go from oceans up. I will iterate over 4 directions. I will have already prepared in advance, let's say here, can be vector of pairs, can be this. Directions of 4 is -1, 0, 0, 1, 0, -1, 1, 0. 4 possible like vectors of shift, and like this one means that I shift row by -1 and column by 0. How I move to a neighbor. New row is cell.first plus directions of direction.first. Now, if a series of conditions is satisfied, if inside of row column, if it's inside the grid and not visited, and from oceans I go to higher terrain, so matrix of my current cell, smaller equal matrix of a new cell. If all of that is true, mark as visited and add to my queue. What is missing? Inside. I could replace this here with a series of ifs, but it's nice to not have such a long and complicated if. It's nice to extract something. What I'm doing now is called a lambda function. Given row and column, check if it's inside. Like that. If you are saying something to me in the chat, like noticing a mistake or something like that, then you should best add me. Just say @Errichto. And to YouTube chat, I'm not reading YouTube chat. Go to Twitch. Finally, after I do all of that, I need in some way remember this visited. For some reason I do it twice for each ocean. I now need a list of cells that are present in both cases. What's the easiest way? Maybe I will say count. For every cell, count how many times it was visited. I can do it here inside BFS, but better not modify the main code, just do it later. Iterate over all the cells. And if this was visited, increase this by 1. You can do something shorter in C++. You can say count of row call plus equal visited of row call, because visited, even though it's a Boolean value, it will be treated as 0 or 1. But in my opinion, an if is easier to read and understand. Like that. Finally create that. What do we return? Vector of pairs? No, vector of vectors. How to call them? Let's say picks, because that's what the problem really cares about. Iterate again over all the cells. If count is exactly 2, I could also put an assert. It would be very strange if some count was bigger than 3. Maybe this assert will fail, and then I will know, oh, something is wrong, not with my BFSs, but with the way I add count. If it's exactly 2, place back is just some faster pushback for pairs in C++. Now, what's the probability that all of that compiles? And what's the probability that this works? I would say it's 30% and 10%. Okay. 100% compiles and works. I think you would lose. Question mark in ternary operator. Run code again. Am I logged in? Give me a second. Yes. Why don't I see my face here? I thought that I have my face in Leetcode set up as a profile picture. Your input is this. Output. Oh, we don't have pairs. If we don't have pairs, then I need to push back. I need to once do some challenge, but maybe that will be with my friends, because I need somebody helping me. Like solving Leetcode problems, but if you get any compilation error, you need to write from the scratch. Like delete everything and start again. That would be fun. If this works for samples, then I would only be worried here about something empty. Yeah. In particular, if the input is completely empty, then this will fail. I cannot access matrix of 0. If there are no cells, then do nothing. I mean, return empty. I told you what. Oh, I see. In Leetcode, always handle empty 0 input. Now I'm more surprised. I have some legit wrong answer. 1, 2, 4, 3. Output is this. Expected that. So I missed 0, 1. I missed this cell. Obviously this should be here, because it belongs to both initial parts. 0, 1 is some row. No, row equal to 0. Oh, this one I miss. Row equal to 0, column equal to 1. And still, it belongs to the initial parts, but then it's obvious that I incorrectly initialized stuff. Here I have first or last row. Iterate over all the columns. If this is the first term, then take row 0, otherwise h minus 1. I see, that's the mistake. I said that iterate from row 1 because that was for the first column. Actually, we need 0 here because in that second run, when I added the last row, what I should actually do is here to put h minus 1. So I miss one cell. I will just allow the repetition to happen because it isn't an issue in my BFS. It's fine in BFS if you put twice some cell in a queue. Just for the second time, when it checks neighbors, nothing new will happen. So either I should here do something like, if it's one turn, then do from 1 to h, otherwise do from 0 to h minus 1. But I'm too lazy to do that, and instead I'm saying, I understand that this already happened, that some cell will occur twice, but I understand that this is fine. One more possibility is to move this visited outside, and when I in-place back something, also mark as visited, but first check if maybe it's already visited, if I already added to a queue. Then I would completely avoid adding something to a queue twice. Accepted. Was that in implementation heavy problem enough? Because somebody suggested that at the very beginning. Why are people using C++ in competitive programming? I'm sure that if you Googled your question, you would quickly get the answer, because C++ is very fast. It's about the speed. C++ is like twice faster than Python, so sometimes you would get time limit exceeded with Python. But there is also STL. C++ has some quite useful data structures like set. Some kind of self-balancing trees are already implemented. After this question, please consider this question for solving. Find kth smallest pair distance. Count of smaller numbers after self. The second one, both are fine. Should we now take something from binary search? Still continue this list. The list is nice. Maybe I should like cover all of them in YouTube videos. CodeChef has 5 times limit for Python. Okay, but that's only CodeChef. What will you do in Codeforces? So the two new suggestions from Pandibaba is those two. This can be done, I guess, with merge sort or segment trees. This will be kth smallest distance among all the pairs. Binary search. Show hint. Binary search the answer. Maybe one of those two? I don't know. Can you try free sum? I think I did it in the past already in some stream. Here's the link to this blind curated 75. But don't believe the title. There are only 74 problems. Why do you have opened so many tabs? Okay, I'm closing the tabs. These Codeforces twice, Google Calendar, YouTube. Did I do threesome? Ha ha ha, so funny. Okay, I have only 7 tabs. I think you will allow that. Please solve some hard DP problems on Leetcode. Will help develop thought process. No, I'm not doing DP today. Dynamic programming is stupid for coding interviews because it's so much about knowing this category. If you don't know dynamic programming, you will never solve any dynamic programming problem. Permission granted. Thank you. That's very nice of you. So what, do we do binary search problem or this segment tree problem? But I will try to solve it without segment trees. Twitch, you can decide. Binary search seems cooler. Do a poll? Sorry, what I can do is I can try dashboard. I think it was in dashboard. Manage poll, create new poll. Question, yes, no. Nope, still doesn't work. Thank you, Twitch, very nice. I don't want to bother with some external website. Let's do the binary search problem. Here you go. Find Kev smallest distance. Pasting link in the Twitch chat. Return the Kev smallest distance among all the pairs. Well, if you're given a bunch of numbers and they're in some random order, it's very hard to say anything about distances between them. Of course, brute force is gather all the distances, obviously. I will first change the name to A, like an array instead of nums. I will create the size, and yeah, we can do this. Iterate over all the pairs. If you cannot do this in 1 minute, do such a brute force, then I think you shouldn't really apply for coding interviews, to be honest. I'm assuming that this brute force is easy. And then what? All pushback, absolute difference between two numbers. Now we can sort, or we can... There is a linear way to do it. In particular, in C++, there is function nth element. You can read about it more. It uses quicksort idea of pivot or something similar. Doesn't matter too much. Like, we don't want n square. We want something better. And as I said, if you just look at this sequence of randomish numbers, it's very difficult to say what happens. Like, we can, for example, find the maximum distance between two numbers by finding minimum and maximum. I will get the difference of 6, and I can say that that's the maximum difference that ever happens. There may be easier problem, much easier problem, is to find the smallest distance among all the pairs. And maybe there is such a problem in Leetcode. So consider this much easier problems where we just assume that k is equal 1. If k is equal 1, you need to find first smallest distance among all the pairs, so just smallest distance. Given a sequence of numbers, find the two closest to each other numbers. In particular, if two numbers are the same, then the answer is 0. But if they are not the same, by far the easiest way to do it is just to sort the sequence, and then it's obvious what needs to be done. After we sort, we just check neighbors. So for k equal to 1, what would happen is this, sort, that's n log n, and now for every, and I will modify this for loop in a moment, consider the answer to be a of I plus 1 minus a of I. What does it mean to consider the answer to be that? Well, we minimize the answer with this, so we want to find minimum. Say that ans is initially infinity, int max in C++, return ans. So that is what we would do in C++. That is what we would do for k equal to 1, for finding the smallest difference. But that's an overflow. Not overflow. Segmentation fault, going outside of the array. Because you iterate over all elements. For the last element, you cannot compare it with the next one. Just decrease this by 1. Either like this, or like that. We want this to be inside an array. Can I solve USACO Platinum problems? I can do that from time to time, but on Tuesdays I solve difficult problems. You can tune in then, but I prefer AdCoder problems. I have a schedule now on Twitch. Every day of a week it will be something particular, like Thursdays, coding interviews. Okay, so because for k equal to 1 we sorted, then it also makes sense to think about a sorted sequence maybe for bigger k. So let's think about something more general like this. Maybe some elements are equal to each other. And here find, well, the smallest distance is still easy, just compare neighbors. The second or third smallest, maybe it's enough to check numbers close to each other, but in general we cannot just rely on neighbors. And if we look at this sequence and we want to find the 1000th smallest distance, still nothing smart we can do other than n square pairs. It just seems difficult. And sometimes you just need to know similar problems to have an idea. And here, if something is sorted, then binary search makes sense. But I'm not talking about this sequence being sorted. That actually, even if this sequence is scrambled, still, what is sorted is there are n square distances, and we are looking, or not really n square because we don't compare a number to itself, and we consider pairs only once, not twice, like AB versus BA, and we are looking for kth smallest. Now, if those distances we can treat sorted in some way, then we can maybe do something faster. And when this sequence is sorted, the distances from 9 to everything else are sorted. So, I mean, from 9, the distance to 7 is 2, distance to 3 is 6, to 1 is 8. From 9 to the right is also 6, 8, 8, 11. Maybe something is about that, something we can use. To what really we will do? We will do a quite common idea of binary searching the answer. That's like once every 20 problems, that's the first step of the solution. Binary search the answer. By this we check if answer is maybe equal to something, or it's greater or smaller than that. So let's say that answer is equal to some value x. So let's say that somebody told us, and we just need to verify that the answer is x, that the kth smallest distance is exactly that, and let's say that it's equal to what we will go with, 6. Is there any 6 here? I see some 6. Can I verify if 6 is indeed a correct answer, or can I say if it's smaller or bigger? When I look at every number in this sequence, I will make the sequence maybe a little bit shorter, just to speed up things. And maybe 1770. When I look at value 3, at least for this short sequence, I can easily see that one value is closer than 6 from me, and one value is exactly at distance 6. So I can count closer is 1, equal exactly at this distance is 1. The fact that k smallest is something, it means that k minus 1 is smaller. The fact that we are looking for 10th smallest number in a sequence, it would mean that 9 numbers are smaller, right? So k minus 1 will be smaller than me. I move my face around a lot today. Scary background noises. Those are kids running around in the corridor. Not my kids, just neighbors' kids. You'd be doing quick select on n-square list of distances. Kind of. Oh, that wasn't answer to my idea. Okay, for 3 we do something. Then let's consider 7. For 7, this number is closer than 6 from me, because it's at distance 4. This is also closer, so I update closer to 3, because there are 2 more numbers close enough. This one is, those are far away. From 9, for 9, this is close. Those 2 are exactly at distance 6. This is 4 and this is 3 now. Continue doing so. Those 2 are very close, and this one is exactly at the proper distance. For this number, those 2 are close, so 8. For this number, those 2 are close, so 10. First of all, I counted every pair twice. When I look at 3, I said that 7 is close. When I looked at 7, I said that 3 is close. So actually, I should put here 3. Yeah, same thing here. So actually, that's the number of pairs. This is number of pair. Let's do formal definition. Number of pairs of indices ij such that I is smaller than j, and a of I minus a of j smaller than 6. That's exactly the definition of what I counted. Okay, and now, if, for example, k is equal to 10, so I want 9 smaller numbers than me, then I know that this is not enough smaller numbers, so that I would be 10th smallest. We will also in a moment figure out what happens with those numbers. But then that's a bad situation. I want more smaller numbers, so I would be 10th smallest. So if I want to get more numbers close enough to each other, I need to increase my range. My range that I allow, yeah, I want to also count those. I counted number of pairs such that blah, 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 and this is smaller than 6. If I want this number to increase from 5 to 9, I will need to increase 6 to something bigger. So the first idea I have is, if closer is smaller than k minus 1, then in binary search, lower bound for answer is equal middle value plus 1. Else maybe high is equal mid minus 1 or something like that, or high is equal mid. That's roughly this. But with binary search, you really need to figure out those off by 1 things. And what happens with those? Like, do I need to count this? What's the formal definition of the fact that we are kth smallest number? I can say this. If, let's say that this is exactly 9, then I would I be fine? What if this is 0? What does it mean? It means that what I really want is that 9 numbers should be smaller than me, 9 being k minus 1. I assume that k is equal to 10. I want 9 numbers to be smaller than me, and there should be at least one exactly at this distance. Also, it's fine if there are 8 numbers closer, like smaller, and to exactly at this distance. What we really do, and what will make our implementation easier in order to figure out exact ifs, is if we realize that what really happens is that there is some very long sequence. How to represent that? Let's say that just there is a very long sequence. This is a list of around n square pairs. Not really pairs, but distances between numbers. We cannot compute the whole sequence. But what I can compute, and I will show that later with code, is I can quickly answer count numbers smaller than some value x. But this is a very long list. I will be able to do it in some abstract way. Just like here, I didn't check all the pairs in order to say that 5 of them are closer. Just for every number, what I will really do is I will binary search here to find the number of numbers closer than x from me. I will just do some lower bound on the sequence. Now, if somebody tells me that the number of numbers smaller than x, if it's smaller equal k minus 1 or smaller than k minus 1, then something. Let's figure out the ifs. If it is smaller than k minus 1, can I say that low is mid plus 1? No, I don't think so. Because a moment ago I was saying, it's fine if there are 8 numbers closer than me and to exactly this. This would mean that if this was a sorted sequence of distances, maybe some of them are 0, and we are looking for numbers smaller than x, let's say there is x minus 1, there is x. Looking at some number and saying that, oh, I want you to be kth smallest number, it means that k minus 1 must be equal to the number of smaller numbers and maybe some of those equal numbers. Here's the exact condition. In a sorted sequence to have x on the kth position. Count smaller should be smaller than k, and count smaller plus count equal greater equal k. This will mean that the last number smaller than x is before this special position k, and this means that I have now enough x's to cover this position k. Because everything from count smaller plus 1, so from this position, if there were 5 smaller numbers, then from position 6 onwards, there will be x's, values exactly equal to x. And count smaller plus count equal is this final position of x. Then later maybe there are some values bigger than x. If those two conditions are true, then I am on proper position. Otherwise, one of those is not satisfied. If count smaller is too big, if count smaller is greater than k, I have all the numbers here I'm looking at are small, then I want to say that on kth position there is a smaller number. Just imagine, algorithms and competitive programming are often about those abstract things. We never create this sequence of distances. But we know that there is some black box able to tell us, give me the count of numbers smaller than something or equal to something. And then I will use those ifs to figure out what I need to do. Let's start implementing. And as I implement, I will also get back to talking about the solution. I need to count smaller and count equal. And for that, after I sort this, should this be a function? Yeah, that's quite... it's easy to extract this. So let's say count smaller than x. And maybe also I will need count equal to x. If the sequence is sorted, I can use binary search, but I can also use in C++ this. This finds the first number at least x or bigger, and if I do -1, this will point to the last value smaller than x. But let's say this, first at least x. And we need to get index, we need to subtract iterator to the beginning of a vector. For example, if this is the sequence 2, 5, 8, 10, and we do lower bound on 7, we will get this index of this number, index of 2. And 2, index of this, is equal to the number of numbers smaller than that. So that would be it. But we are not doing this. We don't have a sorted sequence where we want to find number of elements smaller than something. Not at all. We want to ask about the number of distances smaller than something. So this is a completely wrong code. We solved another problem. Remember, I want to count distances smaller than x. So brute force here would be to iterate over pairs of indices ij in sequence A, compare that difference and compare it with x. And what I will do is I will iterate over index in array A, and here if I'm free and I want to find numbers with distance smaller than 6 from me, then it means I'm looking for numbers smaller than 9. So find first number of value ai plus x. And this is, I'm somewhere, I'm looking for ai plus x. Everything before that, from me to that position, will be with distance smaller than x from me. Like this. This can be long. This is of magnitude n squared. Not really long because they said 10,000, so it fits. Okay, fine, then it's int. Usually limits are like 100,000. This is why I wanted to say that we need a long. Int wouldn't fit that value, but well, it fits. Oh, not position minus I. And let's think about details here. If I'm on position, let's say 3, and here I see that on position 5 there's a first number too big from me, then is this a correct formula to give me the number of pairs such that the distance is smaller than x? No, that's not correct. From 3 to 5, like if 5 is already too big for me, then 3 I can only pair up with 4. So I need this -1. If I position L, I want to connect with something before R. The number of ways for that is R minus L minus 1. I don't want L, I don't want R. Always to figure out such +-1, just think about some very easy example and see if you need to fix it by 1. Strange that the limit is 10,000. Could you actually get away with optimized n square? They use that because Leetcode is very Python friendly, or like all languages friendly. Would n square pass here in C++? Well, we need still k smallest distance, and we cannot have quadratic space complexity. So even if n square is possible, here it will not be very fast, it will not be trivial, and their time limit always works for the sum of all tests. They will give you like 10 tests, and the sum of times cannot exceed 2 seconds. So I don't know. But yes, it happens in Leetcode that with C++ you can get accepted with brute force. Okay, we have our function, only for now count smaller. I will do a binary search. 0. I think it's reasonable to say that it's from 0 to something. What is the limit for values? It's quite small. That's maybe let's make it better. Max element in beginning end. If values are only from 0 to 5, the distance is also up to 5. And this is, let's say, I always called it x. And now we check if x is maybe the answer. How do we do that? If I also have count equal, then I will solve this in two ways. First, let's have count equal. And you could say that, well, now it's twice the code. Not really. Count pairs such that the distance is exactly x. That's my goal. I can say count smaller ax plus 1 minus count smaller of ax. If you already created one black box, then use it, even if it will make running time a bit slower. Your implementation speed is more important to avoid copy pasting something. What happened here is, if already I'm able to count smaller than x, if now somebody asks me count equal to 7, I will say that I count smaller than 8 minus count smaller than 7. The difference of those two counts is exactly the number of numbers equal to 7. But later I will get rid of this one completely. Yeah, my ifs. I explained earlier that this is needed. If count smaller of ax smaller than k and count smaller of ax plus count equal greater equal x greater equal k, then return, because I know that it's exactly this number. Otherwise, one of those conditions failed. Like, it's quite trivial to see why they cannot both fail, because this number must be greater than that, so it's not possible that one condition failing is this, the other is this, count smaller of ax, count equal of ax smaller than k. And if it cannot be true that both are true, those two, because this number, if it's greater or equal k, then if you add something more to the left side, then it's even greater. Obviously, you shouldn't run some function multiple times without remembering the value returned. That's so much repeated work. But for now, I'm just treat it as some draft. Later, I will improve it. If the number of smaller was too big, apparently too big, I want this to decrease it, decrease x. Otherwise, if something is too small, increase x in order to increase the number of pairs. I will here assert false, because I assume that in my interval I at some moment found the proper answer. And this way I'm done with my code. I don't like my code. I would implement it in a different way during a contest or an interview, but I will get to that. As I said, with lower bound we need to subtract iterator to the beginning. Oh. Can I fit this in one line? I can. Nice. Reading chat. Why sorting is needed? Maybe I don't understand the question completely, but can't you just do running total of the minimum distance value? I don't really know how you'd solve it counter. Well, that's a very weak test. Thanks to the fact that I sorted the input sequence A, I'm able in logarithmic, in n log n, because for each of n elements I binary search the proper range for this element. In n log n I count elements at proper distance from me. So I have then binary search times n log n functions. So it will be n log square. Logarithm is there twice, so I wanted to submit. I will later describe how to get rid of logarithms. I already saw somebody in the chat saying 2 pointers. That's correct. Runtime 388, and while usually you shouldn't worry about runtime in Leetcode, here we will decrease it by improving the complexity. I always get infinite loop in binary search. I understand binary search is tricky, and I strongly recommend in binary search just doing a full range from low to high here, and in some case returning answer or overwriting answer. If on YouTube, if you search for Errichto binary search, I considered this video. It's quite old now. I would do it in a slightly different way. But yeah, I spent in preparation for that video, I spent like 10 hours comparing different implementations because there are like 10 of them. I asked friends, I asked people what they prefer, and yeah, consider watching that video if you often mess up binary search. But also it's quite comprehensive. Maybe you will not be able to solve the last problem. Can confirm, good video. Exactly. You hear Obito. Gupta, Samarth, and my implementation was used finally. Well, then your implementation was just better than others. We're here. What is unnecessary here? Well, first of all, obviously, just don't run count smaller of AX so many times. Second thing, if you have that sequence and it's sorted, and for every number, like for this number 3, you want to find where 9 is, and this is what you binary search with here, and like this is the first 9 or bigger, because you want numbers at distance 6. So this is the first 9 plus. Then when for this next number, let's say this is 5, for this next number 5, you also want to binary search range, don't binary search, just use 2 pointers. If for this I, you find that this is like j, the matching position at such that the distance is 6 or bigger, then for I plus 1, just move from j to j plus 1 as long as it's necessary. So let me rewrite this just slightly. The second pointer is 0 for every I, while let's say those two numbers are very close. So while a of position minus a of I, right, smaller than 6, smaller than x, position plus plus. I don't want with a position to go outside of the array. So this is like guarding condition. And now in total, this is not quadratic because in total I can increase position only linear number of times. That's the idea of 2 pointers. Even though we have 2 nested loops, for and while, this can happen only n times. So the complexity of that is linear, not n squared. Okay, and here just we did that in linear time in total, not n log n. We again found the first position such that the difference is greater or equal x. The same thing that happened here. I will submit this again, and this should already be better by logarithm factor. I guess I should have run code first. And indeed, it is better 10 times. It's stupid to find with constant factors in Leetcode or just in any coding interview, but complexity is important. And here, a moment ago, I had complexity O of n log n for sorting the sequence here. I needed that to later do some binary searches or to the point-to-pointers. Plus logarithm of the answer, so log of value, times, and inside I kept using nlogn functions. That was my complexity before, so obviously the second term is only bigger than the first one, so we can remove the first one. So this was my first complexity. My new complexity after getting rid of this is n times log square, n times log of n times log of value. And my new complexity is of n log n for sorting plus log of value for binary searching the answer times n. This time, thanks to 2 pointers in my function here, the function became linear. So that's the complexity. It's only n times log plus n times log. So kind of twice n log. It only matters here which log is more, is bigger. If we are told that n is bigger than value or the other way around, then we can skip the other term in this complexity. But this is better by log factor than the first thing. And that's the final complexity. Oh yeah, and finally I will tell you how to avoid this completely. But then it's more tricky with binary search. During coding interview, I think you should do something like that. I can get rid of sorting the input. I don't need to sort the input. I don't know how. Count torrent, should I still consider this comment of yours? I think that you only compare with the first value or something like that. Right? Like, let me know if I should spend more time on that. I don't think that was correct. You don't check all the pairs. If problem is about all the pairs, for sure it isn't enough to compare with one value. Right? For every value we need to do something. And after sorting, for every value, it is good with some range. If it's all scrambled, then for every value we get some subset, and it's impossible to count it in an inefficient way. Okay, now like an extra challenge. Let's say an interviewer tells you that it's possible to do this without this function, and I will indeed try to do it with only count smaller. So I will try to simplify my main binary search. I know that if count smaller is smaller than k, then I either return x already, or I do this. Because if this is not true, if the first thing is not true, then I do this. I go to smaller x. So what if I do this? If count smaller, then low is x. Because otherwise I go to higher. How to read this? If I have too many smaller numbers, decrease x. If not, then don't decrease x. Well, maybe we can increase it. But already somebody in the chat complained about infinite loops in binary search. And indeed, what I will do, and I strongly recommend this trick, is the following. Whenever we have a kind of proper number of smaller numbers, it's not too big, then I remember that as answer. Then I increase x, so I try to find bigger x, something with bigger number of those smaller pairs. And then if I again hit this, I will overwrite answer. And I claim that this is enough. And for that you need to really understand binary search. Right now my code tries to find the biggest value x such that this is true. and the runtime improved a little bit, but now this is not important. That's just constant factor, not the complexity. Yeah, I will write down the problem I'm solving. Find biggest x such that count smaller of ax smaller than k. Exactly this sentence is the statement, new statement I'm solving. Okay. Whenever I see x for which this is true, then I say, okay, that's possible answer. I could also here do this, but in a moment I will explain why we don't need that. And well, because I find the biggest such x, then and also let's explain why we want biggest. But if we really want biggest x, then yeah, if for count smaller than distances than 6, if that gave me small enough numbers, maybe 7 is also good, maybe 20. Because likely if I choose 1000, then this number will become too big. Okay? So, but if for 6 is good enough, I say that this is possible answer can be 6, now go up. Ask with binary search, or maybe now about 10. 10 is better? Okay, then override. Because in this case, answer will later anyway increase, I don't need to maximize. For sure here I can guarantee that this new x I found is better than previous answer because I went up to find better answer. Why are we finding the biggest x such that this is true? Let's get to the interpretation of our increasing sequence of distances. We don't have this sequence, we just imagine it. It's abstract. Yeah, what happens is when we ask about values smaller than 10, then we basically see how long prefix has values up to 9. Let's say this is the first value, 10 or bigger. And I now, this way, I check if k value in this sequence, if it's smaller than 10 or not. Here the case is that count smaller of 10 is bigger than k. Because here, what, 1, 2, 3, k is equals 7. If k is equals 7, and I found that count smaller of 10 is around, I don't know, 10. Let's say that I count values smaller than 100. And I found around 11 of them. Well, this means that 7th smallest value is smaller than 100. Because values bigger than 100 take that suffix of the sequence, smaller than 100, prefix of the sequence. So I need to go down. Okay, what about this case? What if I try to learn where are values of at least value 30? Let's say this is the first 30 plus. Everything to the right is also 30 plus. And I'm looking for this 7th value in the sequence. Then I know that 7th value is at least 30. I have a sorted sequence, and to find where some value is, to find what is the 7th smaller value, I can keep asking, give me the count of numbers smaller than 30. Then I will know that some prefix is smaller than 30, suffix bigger than 30. And I can this way check if the value I'm looking for, 7th smallest, if it's in that prefix or suffix. This way I switch between problem of finding k value to just counting values smaller than x. And this is what we can do. That's some high-level explanation, but again, if you're not very familiar with binary search, you don't need to do this. I showed you another solution before. And finally, yeah, obviously it's still stupid that this count smaller is twice done. Remember, memorize count smaller. Oh, it's just else. I don't need to remember. And we will get our best solution yet. I'm not aware of any faster solution. I don't think that this problem can be done in linear time. You see, running time didn't even change. Maybe because compiler optimized that part. C++ compiler is very smart. If it will see the same thing being used twice, it will understand that it's the same, and it is allowed to take the same registry value. Radix Sort. But with Radix Sort we can improve n log n to something else in the first part, while anyway here we have that log of value times n, so we don't really improve the complexity. Yeah, maybe Radix Sort will be faster for the first part, and instead of doing first part in 10 milliseconds, we'll do it with in 5 milliseconds. Faster than this, yeah. If you really care about coding interviews, don't worry about this. No interviewer will realize from your code that you are faster than X%. What is important is complexity. Complexity and style of your code a little bit. But more than those two, just your thought process and the fact that you're explaining your thoughts out loud. A good advice for coding interview preparation, also if you are like a competitive programmer, is that you should be able to explain a solution to your friend. Take your weaker friend and solve a problem, and while solving, explain everything to him. If he understands clearly, then you're good to go. Another possibility is, if it's inconvenient to grab such a friend, is you can record yourself, then listen to it and see if it's really a lot of talking. If you grab random 2 minutes of my stream, there will be a lot of talking by me, because I explain everything all the time. If I was a more boring streamer, if you grab random 2 minutes, you will see maybe 10 seconds of that will be saying something, and the rest will be thinking or just and then that's bad also for interview. There is some similarity between being a good streamer, like interesting streamer, and being a good interviewee. What's up, chat? Great explanation. Well, you're welcome. Where do you work, sir? You can type !job in Twitch. Hard dynamic programming, please. Do I want that today? A ceiling with a fan? I don't have that in my house. Why use brackets when you only have one line after the else? Just coding practice. Why do I use indentation? Why? I can also do that, right? But it's easier to read if it's consistent. And also one big reason why brackets like that are better is that it's easier to modify the code. If now I realized, okay, let's say that here, this is the case, or even worse, this is the case. Consider the amount of work needed to add a line. What if I realize that in this case I want to maximize the answer? There I need to anyway add brackets and say, let's say ans is max of ans and x, or whatever I need there, right? What if, okay, later you realize that this is unnecessary. Will you remove the brackets? With brackets, it's easier to modify your code. And I would say it's harder to make a mistake, like being in wrong scope. Oh, I asked what's up, chat. Ceiling with a fan. Okay, I see. I need to be more careful with what I'm asking about. Any upcoming competitions? Any upcoming competitions? There are always some competitions. Let's see. Sillies.by. It's contest list website. What do we have? Bi-weekly is this Saturday. Do I have time? I will take a look at my calendar. Maybe. I might have time for this. Every 2 weeks, Leetcode organizes a competition that isn't in the middle of a night for me. So that's good. There is Croatian Olympiad on Saturday, but I'm not participating. It's just too long. 5 hours. If you are preparing for an Olympiad in informatics, then sure, do participate. Maybe on Saturday, 4:30 bi-weekly Leetcode contest. There is also weekly contest on binary search. And to be honest, I'm betting that binarysearch.com contest would be more interesting for me and I would have more fun. But still, as I said at the beginning, Leetcode is like 1,000 times bigger than binary search, and if I later upload screencast on YouTube, it's just much better for me to cover Leetcode. That being said, now I think it's good to switch from Leetcode. So let's close those Leetcode tabs. And we'll do binary search next. Is that fine? Other than that, I don't think I have any big upcoming competitions. If I was a university student still, then bubblecupfinals.org. Bubblecup finals would be coming for me. And there will be mirror in Codeforces. Maybe I will grab a team and participate with them. Codeforces, it's on Monday. Yeah. I participated a lot of times in the finals there. I won some. In particular, Bubblecup finals for high schools or for universities were used to be 24 hours long. And we participated in one such edition and we won, barely. That was very nice, because you need to work till the last hour. There were around 10 problems, but they were mixed styles. Some of them were about knowing computers and assembly. Some of that was kind of puzzles or half puzzles, like solving Einstein puzzle, the one where, like, you know that owner of red car lives in the second building. The owner of green car drinks alcohol, something like that. You have a lot of puzzles and you need to provide some solution. You need to say, owner of this car drinks this thing and owns this house and so on. I think it's called Einstein puzzle. Or the game I played for the half of the competition was that every team had a spaceship. We even saw a map on the projector, and you control the spaceship by rotating a little bit, going forward, and shooting a rocket. And yeah, just you move around on a rectangular grid, and you shoot other players. Every geometry, so hooray. I mean, I don't complain, but it wasn't discrete, it was continuous. So you can rotate by any angle, or actually you don't rotate. You have acceleration of rotating and acceleration of moving forward and backwards. You cannot immediately stop. You just control your engines. That's a good problem for 24 hours. What? Binary search, right? Yeah, Errichto is here. Maybe. Or maybe I'm not. I will now accept suggestions for binarysearch.com. If I remember correctly, their website works quite nice with Dark Reader. Oh, yeah, exactly. Problems. Competitive programming in Haskell. Actually, I think I had Haskell or Occam in the first year of uni. But yeah, I don't use it. If I ever go to work at Jane Street, in Jane Street, it's a trading company in London, then I think I will need to use Haskell. What do we do? Is this some kind of sort? Sort difficulty. Because a problem a moment ago was quite complicated. Maybe let's go through 2 or 3 easy problems. Like this. Strictly increasing linked list. I guess we just say true or false. Whoa, 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 chat, so many links. I got quite a few. Functional programming like Haskell is overrated. I don't know. I only used that for like 15 hours total, so I shouldn't compare. Codeforces.com coding invitation. Is this some new Rickroll? I don't even want to click. Codeforces.com/contest invitation. Lior, were you the one who tried to Rickroll me through CodeChef or Codeforces? And then they quickly removed the block? What? Contest invitation. Can you put a link there? No, it's a good... I don't trust you. I remember. No. Now every platform... There are a few platforms I keep using, like Leetcode or binary search. Now somebody will try to get one of those owners for some conspiracy, and eventually, for sure, I will get some link to, let's say, algoexpert.io, and it will turn out that Clement created a Rickroll somewhere inside just to troll me during a stream. Why don't you just try? Bro, just do it. No. I'm not doing that. Okay, only problems from binarysearch.com, please. And I will move the chat here for a moment. But I'm looking for an easy problem. Can you explain your solution this? I think I had a video, a screencast, so then consider that one. This is just, wait, submission. Oh wait, submissions are fine. Those are my submissions. I had some very complicated solution. Tag a game in a tree. Is this the one where I will just read. Then in the next round your opponent moves. You move and so on. Your opponent can choose to not make a move in the round. Return the minimum number of rounds it takes you to catch your opponent. Yeah, and this is a very Codeforces style problem. I know the optimal play here. Your opponent can choose to not make a move. You need to catch your opponent quickly. Yeah, the solution is that you root a tree in your first vertex and you always go towards the opponent. Go down, 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 and so on. And then your opponent will first move up a little bit, but then after he's close to you, he will always go to the deepest subtree. I don't really want to do it. The unique element thing, I talked a lot during the last screencast or contest, and the problem was messed up. 8 puzzle, what is that? You can swap the 0 with one of... Oh. Again, that's a hard... This is very implementation heavy problem, or is it? What's the number of possible states of this puzzle? Is it 9 factorial? I guess it doesn't exceed 9 factorial divided by 2. New number of swaps required to solve the puzzle. Editorials. I want to see if there is something better than brute force. Can't see. Well, that's a minus. In Leetcode, for every problem there is at least community editorial. What else do we have? Sudoku solver. I'm not doing that today. I already... Give me an easy problem. Rocket ship rescue. Something maybe related to Among Us. You're given a list of integers. If that's question 100 out of 800, then it's so long ago that Among Us wasn't known back then. You're given a list of integers representing weights. The limit each rocket ship can take at most 2 people. The minimum number of rocket ships it would take to rescue everyone to Mars. Oh, that's a cute little problem. Let's do this. Pasting a link in Twitch. This is... name is in the link. Do I have a degree? No, I don't. If I did, I would be so smart now. I would solve all those problems easily. When Among Us stream? Maybe this weekend. Okay. Let's say that limit is 100. Each rocket ship can take at most 2 people. If there is some sequence, it's very likely that I will want to sort the sequence. It allows us to much easier choose what pair should go together. But what I want to say that if for the first spaceship maybe I take person 80 with weight 80 and now I can take one more person, for sure the optimal person is the biggest person still fitting. So biggest up to 20. I can binary search where the last number is of value 20 or smaller. I will mark it as 20 minus. And I will say 80 goes with 20 minus. Like if I take a smaller number instead, it will only be harder for me to fit people in the future. It's better to leave 15 than to leave 20. So it's better to take 20 rather than to take something smaller. I also have a choice of not taking anybody. But it's better to take somebody. The job will only be easier. Will you only be working in C++ today? Yes. I'm good with C++. I don't want to struggle with other languages. So I think that in any order we can just take some number and binary search the other number to take. But how to do that without like a set? In C++ there is set of int. Set is a structure where I can take arbitrary element from the middle, take it away, and then still keep asking with binary search about like biggest number smaller than x. Like vector doesn't allow you to do that because removing element from the middle is linear time. Sorry, set just implements all the basic operations like insert, erase, lower bound in logarithmic time. So that's one n-log solution I can do, but I'm guessing that they want something else. Let's think. Maybe it's related to the fact that first number should be paired up with the last number? Or maybe not. if the last number is bigger than 100, then I lost. I cannot do anything because it doesn't fit. If the last number is 80. And then here I have number 10 and here I have number 15. Then I claim that I don't really care if 80 goes with 10 or with 15. Because if I go like the difference between 10 and 15 is just that number like 82, no, number like 87, it can go with 10 but cannot go with 15. But if 80 is the biggest number, then there isn't such a number. If that's the sequence, 80 is the biggest number, then there is no difference between 10 and 15. It's okay to say that 80 goes with the smallest number. So I think the solution, even though I said it's obvious that 80 should be paired up with the biggest number possible, if we go in this order from biggest to smaller, and if we just make if biggest is too big, then we lose. Otherwise, connect it with the first value. Because if it can be connected with several values, then for sure those several values, anyway, each of them can be connected with everything in the future, because those numbers will be only smaller than 80. And then it's enough to just do sort. Is it possible that things are impossible? No. I wanted to check if the last number, if weights.back is too big. Okay. Every number, starting from the biggest, either goes alone or we move it with the smallest number. So this will be next, this is position of next smaller. If those two can fit together, then that, and answer plus plus, else just, I will do this because I minus minus anyway happens every time, and return answer. There is a sorted sequence. I goes from the end, from the biggest value. Next points to the first value. And if I can put them together to emission, so if this is true, then I do that. I will decrease by 1, but that always happens in a for loop. So next, then I do plus plus. Next in a moment will be here. And I will anyway move like that. Maybe now they cannot go together, then just move with I forward, and so on and so on. I could use the queue. I think that this is better. That's quite easy. In competitive programming we don't use dequeues, so always dequeue isn't the first thing I'm considering. Can we make 3 together? Good question. I will answer that in a moment, and that's my old code forces problem about 3 musketeers. Musketeers? No. I think I cannot spell weights. No, that was just about plural form. When did you start coding blah blah blah? Read this, read frequently asked questions. Submit. Submit. Ah, you didn't see it. It said you're now level 6. Yay, level 6. Oh, am I on a streak of 1 day? Yay. So no, on 1 problem. Solve a problem every day to build your streak. Nice. 1 problem already. 4 to go. Then do that for like 2 months and you're good to go for coding interviews. No need to cast weight size since implicit typecast case to int will happen. No, that's not true. You cast here because you don't want subtract 1 on unsigned ints. If you do this, then if vector is empty, this will be subtracted on unsigned integers, and you will get here value like 4 blah blah blah. This is 2 to 32 minus 1. Also, the other thing is that any good compiler will warn you about this. And because when I use my IDE, it warns me that here I have some bad operation. Then I'm just used to do this without any, like, I don't think if that's needed or not. For blah blah blah, exactly that number. This is the one. I should make like a magic trick where I tell you this, think about some number, like from interval 4000 up to 4999. Then you think about it, and I say, did you think about number 4 blah blah blah? Yes, I guess. Done. My solution is faster than 10% of other C++ submissions. That's almost half. How did I know? I can read minds. If there are 1000 viewers of a stream, I don't have that many, but if I had, then actually I would guess an exact number chosen by one person, most likely. And that person would be really like not understanding what's going on. Why did I move my face? I wanted to show something. I don't remember what. Never mind. Another type of magic tricks is that, like, take a year when you were born, then do some stuff, add digits, subtract digits, blah blah blah. Then at the end subtract your age. Actually, you should add your age, and magically at the end you will get exactly the number I'm thinking of. Oh, if you add your year to your age, you will get 2020. What magic! And that's almost a palindrome. Oh, extra magic. Oh yes, I remember why I moved my face, to answer somebody that I use dark reader, and this is why this website is dark. That won't work on me because I don't know math. Then you're magic resistant. Let's grab another problem. That one was fine. Oh, somebody asked about the version with 3 people, and that's Code Forces, Limac, and 3 Musketeers. What was that problem about? Rich Limacier is a cardinal in the city of berries. He's tired of dealing with crime by himself. He needs 3 brave warriors to help him fight against bad guys. Limits are up to 4,000. And warriors? Choose 3 of them to become musketeers. Must know each other to cooperate efficiently. That's not this problem. I feel cheated. No. Does somebody remember what problem I'm talking about? I'm looking for a problem where we actually take triples of numbers. This one with musketeers, it was about a graph and looking for triangles in the graph. No, I'm looking for something else. Was that also about musketeers? New Year and 3 musketeers. That must be it. Exact. I didn't even know that I made 2 such problems. I guess that's the continuation. I cannot remember because that's Goodbye 2015. It's from almost 5 years ago. I didn't even know that I created problems so long ago. Paste the link, please. Here you go. Okay. They have strengths ABC. Every criminal has some strength. In particular, you could assume that they have all equal strengths. Okay, and always you want to beat all the criminals, and every hour either all 3 musketeers will fight 1 bad guy, or they will split. However they split, either each will be alone or 1 plus 2. Like a group fighting a criminal must be stronger than that criminal. For example, maybe they must all together beat the strongest criminal, or some suffix of strongest criminals, and then some 2 of them will fight 1 quite strong guy, but the third one will handle a single weak criminal. That's the idea of a statement, of the problem. There are 200,000 criminals, you're given ABC and strengths of criminals. You need to say what's the smallest time when you can beat all of them. Why are you not reading YouTube chat? Because that's hard to handle both chats. If YouTube chat doesn't behave, I will just block it completely. But I stream to both sides because then after I stop, I don't need to upload anything to YouTube. It's already there. And for some people, YouTube works better than Twitch. So this is why I don't care. I can double stream as well. Treat this as a homework problem if you want some challenge. This is much more difficult than anything I did today. I will not cover it today, but there is a tutorial if you want. Okay, minimum sum subsequence. I see, Night K, that you pasted this link quite a few times, then I'm more hesitant to ignore it. This starts being a spam. I don't want Project Euler. No, thank you. I'm doing coding interviews today. Any other suggestions for binary search problems? This website problems, I mean. Also, consider maybe later joining the Discord server. Link is here. It's quite fresh, around 2 weeks old. 1,000 people, I think. And it's more and more fun. I'm happy about how this Discord server turned out to be. Task scheduler. No, I did a few from Leetcode, so now binary search. Sudoku solver is tagged medium. I don't think that it's a good tag. I will consider those 2. If those do not work, then I will do the one suggested by Night. Okay, it's funny that this is like 1 minute after I said that this was repeated too many times. But before seeing this, I wanted to say I will consider that if those 2 do not work. Learned Polygon to make that problem. Okay, but can I turn off the sound? Is that fine? Okay, Lior, okay. Here you go. Where is that? Learned Polygon to create a contest in Codeforces for something. That's dedication. Coding interview day 2. A great CP problem. He made the code forces problem to do so. Yeah, so yes, if you're reading this problem, congrats, you are rickrolled. Is there an actual problem? If it is nice or not. Nice, nice. I guess a substring, right? I will solve this for you. There are no limits for n, so I don't like the contest. I will also copy paste the link for the chat. If anybody wants to participate, here you go. I hope you are proud of yourself. For every position other than the last one, this is 6 and the next one is 9. Print nice. Print the serious. How was this spelled? Lowercase. Everything lowercase. But T is uppercase. Is that correct? No compilation errors? My test 3 always fails for some reason. Maybe uppercase limits or something. I added limits, but it didn't update it. Did you hit... In Polygon, you need to create a new invocation. This is how it's called? Or like full package. Oh, yeah. Go to package. Create a new package. Why is this your Twitch nickname? Are you actually the same Lior, or this is just some new Lior also from Israel? Running. You know what would be very nice? Make 68 reasonable tests, and then the last one will be just something random, so that everybody would get wrong answer. Why? Is there a contest right now? Okay, I will refresh later. What was I doing? I said that I will check those two. Two-dimensional integer matrix of 2's, 1's and 0's, enemies, walls and empty cells. The maximum number of enemies you can damage by placing one bomb. Every platform should make a drawing for such a problem. I will make a drawing if they don't want. They should then just screenshot my stream and paste it like that. There is a grid. Some cells are completely blocked. Let's say that blocked will be, I don't know, white. Now, some cells contain an enemy. What color do we want for an enemy? Blue guy? This person, I don't want to draw that much, so let's just say this, some enemies. Then when you place a bomb somewhere, let's do it. This is a beautiful bomb. It will kill anything in 4 directions. So it will go here, We'll go here and so on, but it's important that it stops when there is a wall. So if there is a guy over here, it will not kill him. It will just destroy those cells, and those cells. Okay, binary search, you can take this drawing and you don't even need to credit me. You're welcome. Now, can we place anywhere? In an empty cell, and when a bomb explodes, all the spaces along on the same row and column are damaged until there is a wall. Return the maximum number of enemies you can damage. And there are two solutions here. One will be more like brute force, where iterate over cell with a bomb, and we have 4 directions. Just in each of them, go as far as you can, stop when there is a wall, and if in current cell there is an enemy, add 1 to the count. Yeah, then it's also useful to have a boolean flag, boolean array is enemy of row and column, so you could quickly read, or just, yeah, that's stupid. No, int type. Oh, that's the input. The input is matrix, and by checking matrix or row and column, we read whether it's enemy or it's a wall. If wall, then stop. That's easy. The complexity of the brute force, try each of height of a grid times width of a grid, that many cells for a bomb, and then go linearly through the whole row or column. That's linear. H for row, H for column, the whole height, and width. And it is enough for our problem, because the limits are just up to 250. For 200, 250 is good enough. Also, perfect result 0 points. I think Leo, you chose some strange scoring. This problem isn't prepared properly, so you need to improve it, because it should give 100 points. I think you chose some more complicated settings for the problem. Also, Twitch chat I want on the second monitor. We are here. Yeah. But there is a faster solution. It's faster than this, where first we go for a grid, and for any, without knowing where the bomb is, but just getting this grid, I will find blocks of consecutive cells without a wall, like for example this block, and I know that if bomb is placed in one of those cells, it will kill 2 people. So I find this block and I say +2 for every cell here. It will mean if bomb is there, then add 2 to the score. There is documentation to learn polygon, or we just have to do it and learn it? I don't think there is documentation. Yeah, do the same now for every horizontal block, like this, 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 this. And it will be the final complexity. I want to just make it h times w. Every cell will be considered once horizontally and once vertically. So just, what do we do for rows? For every row, start from the first cell. As far as possible, go to the right. Stop when there is a wall. As you go, count the number of enemies. For each of those cells, increase its score by the number of enemies counted, and then move to find the next available cell. This one, again, go to the right, find the next wall, and so on. Just go to the right as far as there are no walls. Then the same here, and so on, like that. Those are blocks of empty cells. One tiny detail is that if there is an enemy on the intersection, like this, you will unnecessarily count it twice. Because when considering vertical block, you will count this enemy. When considering horizontal block, you will count this. And then when placing a bomb here, you will think that this enemy is counted twice. So we would need to decrease 1 from the final answer in that case. When we place bomb on the position of enemy, we should subtract 1. But I think anyway the problem statement said that bomb must be in empty cell, not with enemy. So everything works. And I will just implement this. Why was my face here for the whole time? Height of the grid. Width. If empty, return 0, but I think it's not necessary here. Maybe. What do we do for every row? We go from left to right, and when cell is empty, we continue going to the right to find the next empty cell. For column, if matrix of row of column is different than 2, what is a wall? 2 represents 1. Instead of every time thinking what that is exactly, I will say wall is 1. This is not a wall. Then create something like C2. Continue with that to the right. Well, you are not a wall as well. C2++. Now we have from col to C2, there is a block of non-wall cells. Count enemies. I. From col to C2, because this is how I stupidly named this, should be like first column and last column in a block, but I don't want that long variable names. Can we do spoilers in Twitch chat test? I think it's impossible. Minimum bombs sounds like a very hard problems. Oh, maybe it's some kind of matching or something like that. Either matching-ish or it's a just NP hard problem. Matrix of row I is equal enemy. This. Iterate through those cells again. And answer of row I plus equal enemies. Because I already created a two-dimensional array for Scarce if I put a bomb exactly there. At the end, I will iterate over all cells. And as a reminder, my solution is just h times w. I never have 3 nested for loops. Well, here I have this for and while, but I want to do this column is C2. Now it becomes like amortized complexity like in 2 pointers. Inside of a single row, I will just once go from left to right. No cell will be considered twice. After finding a block from column 5 to 10, then I will jump to column 11. After this, there will be column plus plus in a for loop. If the type is empty, because only that's allowed in the statement, best maximize with ans from column. Ans says how many people I kill if I put a bomb exactly there. Please don't say this sentence in the airport. That's a very wrong idea. Return best. Okay, and now I need I can copy paste this, or I can rotate the grid. I can try rotating because, you know, copy pasting is always ugly. Actually, rotate I mean we need to transpose. That's the name. Transposition? No, transposition. Transpose. Mirror it. I will ever become software engineer? I don't know. I don't have such plans right now. Let's try to rotate, but I'm guessing that it will be easier for you to just copy paste and adjust the code. Because now I will need to add some extra code for this like swapping thing. I will need to swap H and W, but also answer and matrix, they should be also mirrored. Mirror. It's something like this. Let's say B of call row is A of row call. A is B. But now I use extra space, so that's not really the most efficient thing I could do. But it should work, right? I think so. Let's see on the sample test. What is my profession? There is exclamation mark job. In enemy not defined. 2 represents an enemy. Would you mind going over the code in brief? I can do that again at the end, but you know, as I implement, I explain every line. At least I try to. I imagine that during my streams I go too fast for some parts. Just when I solve an easy problem, even though I realize and I try to remember that that's tailored, the explanation should be tailored for beginners, I still explain too fast. Level 7, yay, wow, hooray. Party in the chat. Can you imagine getting level 8 or level 10? Do you think anybody already got level 10? I think this means like solving 20 problems in total in the website. There's leaderboard. Contest solved today. I'm 38th in contest rating. This is actually easy to get to top 5, I'm betting, because it's just about participating a few times and being close to winning. I was 3rd a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It's just about having time to participate. But solved all time, yeah, sure, Alex has already 800. Sorry about my face. What level does he have? I don't even see. I bet that it's single digits. Level 12 though. What? You are level 12? Nice. Top left below heatmap. That's not. Heatmap is in the bottom, below his name. Huh. Somebody rotated his level 8 by 90 degrees, but I'm close. It's just about one more level and then rotating it by 90 degrees. In Leetcode already my profile pic is rotated. So, you know, easy. Okay, two things. I can go through my code, and also I can avoid this extra space, but that will be ugly. Level infinity? I don't know what you're talking about. I can prove it to you that this is 8. Look, I will draw an 8. Now mark this, and how to rotate stuff. Rotate. You see? That was his level. That's just 8 rotated. Or twisted, maybe twisted. Infinity would be much bigger than 8. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, going through the code. As I explained in my beautiful drawings here, I want to find those big blocks for every row and for every column. I find such blocks. The first column here will be col. The last one will be, I called it C2, like column 2, I guess. I twice repeat, don't worry about it now. What I do is, for every row, iterate with columns. If this is not a wall, then continue going from this as long as this is not a wall, and now you have interval from col to C2. Count enemies, iterate over this row. From col to C2, in this whole interval, count enemies. If it's enemy, enemies plus plus. Then for each cell in this block, say if there is a bomb there, the score, number of killed enemies, increases by that much. Then you are done with this block, so col should jump to C2, and then it will be done like plus plus. And here it's kind of like, let's say that it's this. The for loop will then in a moment increase by 1. Okay, plus I need to do the same for columns. And instead of copy pasting my code, what I did is how is it called? Transpone? That's a verb? I transponed a matrix. So that means swapping height and width and mirroring matrix and answer, so that also it will be now of size width by w, width by height. And for that I create a new, temporarily I create a new matrix of size w by height, not height by w, and I do the transposition. Cell 1,5 becomes 5,1. Is there a nice way to do it? I don't really see how to do it nicely. No, that I only see very ugly ways. Can you think for a bit about minimum number of bombs to kill everyone? I'm telling you, that's NP hard. Level n log n. There is some website, I think it's HackerRank. Doesn't HackerRank tell you your rating? Oh, I need to log in. Okay, bye bye HackerRank. I don't like websites that tell you to log in to access anything. Or maybe it's possible to get there, but I don't care. I think, like in Codeforces, you have red rating or Nutella first, then yellow, and so on. In HackerRank, it's like O of 1 is a few best people in the world, then log of n, of square root of n, and so on. This is your rating from the best, and so on. Maybe n log n as well. Then maybe n factorial or something. And that's the best rating, that's the second best rating. That's quite smart. Oh, at the beginning, I don't know if Dush is talking about this, but at the beginning of this stream, I said that in some problems it's nice to make everything into a square. And that will make things easier for me here. Because what I will do is the following. Let's do this. If height is smaller than width, then matrix resize width vector of int width, every cell will be wall. This will not affect the answer. Else, if the width is too small, then for everything I need to resize h, comma, wall. After such operations, this is just about C++ knowledge, the fact that if something is smaller, then resize will just add a few elements equal to whatever I say after comma. Now h equal w equal max of hw. I think what I did is I increased this rectangular grid to a square. Now h and w are equal. And then I don't need, for example, swap of hw. But also I do not need this extra thing. I will just say iterate over all cells and swap to cells. Some things become much easier if this is a square. In particular, transposition becomes trivial. I'm still not sure about the word transposition. Sorry about that. From here, I think we can just swap ARC and ACR. That's true, but only if we have a square. Otherwise, I would get like outside of the array. I bet most interviewers wouldn't even understand what he's talking about and how pro he is. How pro he is, maybe, but what I'm talking about, of course they would understand. Interviewers aren't stupid. Rotating is called transpose. Transpose, right? Binary search or Leetcode? I like binary search more, at least now. Transpose, okay. Yeah. Transpose makes sense. And then transposition, I guess, is the process of doing transpose. Just curious, by the way, why don't you use lambda functions and other C++ advanced features? I use them. I used them today. In part, for example, this mirror, if it had more arguments, then I would be lazy to put it outside and I would just do it here. That being said, I use features that I learned, and when I mostly learned C++ 10 years ago or 5 years ago, features after that period I'm not that fluent with. For example, I never remember how to use tie because it's very recent. Do I have a study guide for DS and Algo? No, I don't. I have how to practice page. Link is somewhere in the description. How to practice. Like 5,000 times I got a question, what to do to become red, how to practice, blah, blah, blah. Then I created this page. You will find it by typing !wiki in Twitch. YouTube, if you want any chat interaction, go to Twitch, as written in the title. I should make a YouTube bot to remind about that every 5 minutes. C++ will have modules, they say it will decrease compilation time, but how, I don't know. Can someone explain? For each cell you can consider edges from it to every cell in its row or column which it can reach without encountering walls. Okay, Gupta, but then what? We need MST. No, that's not MST. It's more like vertex cover. It's not that we choose single edges. We choose vertex and then we say that all vertices to which there are edges, they are already killed. They are covered. Speaking at PPCon, no, I don't know C++. I know C++ may be enough to pass a coding interview, but not to speak at a convention. So similarly, I don't know. I can speak English enough so that you would understand me. It doesn't mean that I should speak at some English convention. Why not start with the October challenge? Oh, that's an interesting idea. Let me turn off the dark reader. Do I want to participate in Leetcode October challenge? For sure not during a stream, because that would be cheating. I don't know. I don't want to show solutions. Maybe. Oh, I need to consider this. Damn it. Oh no, the first day is already done. Subscribe to unlock. What? What is this? Was that the first day? That's some premium question. You have to pay. I actually have a premium account. I'm just not logged into that one. I bought it for a year when there was a promo, just because I thought that maybe I need to use that for YouTube from time to time. But I don't think that's a good choice. I understand that short term it's good for them in terms of money, but if they really want to bring a lot of people to this 30-day challenge, I don't know. When I was quite tired of those Leetcode challenges in the at the end of that month, the first month. April, was that it? Yeah, because then for 1 month my channel became Leetcode only, and I didn't like that. Like everything up to here from there. You don't want 30 videos in a row every single day on the same topic. The views also show that. What I can do maybe is either speedrun at the end of a month, but then people showed up for those videos because like they knew that they ended and then there would be a video on my channel. So it only makes sense really if I upload immediately after. Maybe I should put that on the second channel. That's just for 35 coins, nothing else. You have coins you can buy. So I'm gathering my coins to buy what? What do they have? Do they have some stickers? Some other shit? Store, redeem. I want a pen. Actually, Leetcode should pay me because, you know, I'm a streamer, I'm an influencer. Leetcode should pay me to wear their t-shirt and to write with their pen. And to solve a premium problem. Dramatic has one? A pen or a t-shirt? Although you got that big blog about just solving Leetcode problems because of that too. Oh yeah, the one when I had, I think, 100,000 subscribers. You should write to Leetcode asking for sponsorship. Ah, I'm fine. I guess I can say that Leetcode will eventually be my competition. I'm doing something too. Coding interview related. And because Leetcode is the biggest player in the market, I don't want to sponsor Leetcode. You'll make a website as well? Yeah, you can say so. I'm not the one making the website. Clement versus Errichto? Yeah. You know, I wasn't secretive about it. When I made collaborations with Clement in the past, I warned him that I'm going to make a platform as well, and we will be competitors. I'm an honest guy. No, I don't have a coding challenge website, but I will be associated with one, indeed. Consider that, how is it called? Exclusivity deal? What am I eating? Some very bad cake. Will it be free? I see people are interested in the topic. I will say more in around a month. There will be some paid part and there will be some free part. I think that free part will already be better than anything else in the internet. Free for the Twitch chat, indeed. But you can only interact with the website in the Twitch chat. And you can submit only by typing like exclamation mark submit. What do you think about Joma and TechLead? Joma is a cool dude. I don't know TechLead. I met with Joma, obviously. I was at his house. I don't think either of them is a good competitive programmer, but that's not the point. Not everybody needs to be one. TechLead is for sure a very experienced programmer. In particular, I'm sure that TechLead is better software engineer than I am. Collab with Indian YouTubers. I did one in the past. I also am doing one in near future with Rajit. Stop teaching how to interview because of Google policy? Really? Joma works at YouTube. But wait. What's the Tech Interview Pro? Why is this not black? Whoa. Joma left this Scarce thing because of YouTube? I mean, because he works at YouTube? On one hand, it makes sense. On the other, I didn't know about that. I'm very surprised. In a moment, I'm finishing the stream. Maybe one more easy problem. But I think I want to keep my streams at around what? 2 hours? 2 hours and a half are also fine, but I don't want to go further. Next stream will be on Saturday, and generally things will be Tuesday hard competitive programming, Thursday like today coding interviews, and then Saturday easy code forces or something. He has Joma class now. Oh, good for him. Saturation of software devs. I don't know. I heard a lot of opinions that this whole programming thing is a bubble, but I don't see. I don't know. I already answered the what are you eating question. Rotating matrix. I see that rotating matrix is easier in Python. Good for Python then. Good for Python users. How to become good at DP problems. Watch my DP lectures. For the small price of 0. Why division free rounds are so scarce? Because people don't make them. I don't know, aren't division-free, I think division-free rounds were very experimental, and Codeforces doesn't accept just from anybody division-free round proposal. Am I right? Oh, you can only propose division 1 or 3. It's just that Mike and others decided to experiment with division 3. I'm not sure if what I'm saying is correct. Solve one DP problem and explain the process. I have a YouTube video with 26 DP problems, and I have 3 DP lectures. Dynamic programming is the topic for which I spend the most time on my YouTube channel. When is the final round of Facebook Hacker Cup? I don't know, but I hope that it's a long time from now, because after I won the bet with Steven, let's see if he's doing his part of the bet. If we go to his submissions, each submission of his should contain, instead of int main, let's see, int subscribe to Errichto. So now, oh, what is this strange infinity? Okay, I see. This is how I make bets with people. If they lose, they need to advertise me. And Steven needs to do this until the Facebook Hacker Cup finals. So I hope that Facebook Hacker Cup finals will be like in half a year from now or something. Okay, cool. I'm not doing other problems today. I think that's enough. See you again on coding interviews next week, same time. And this Saturday there will be some Codeforces, and maybe I will manage to get a group of people for Among Us. But for that, just join the Discord, for example, for notifications and info on future streams and plans. Thank you everybody for watching. Later this stream is available on YouTube. Thank you, Space Jolly, that I am doing awesome work. I hope so. Bye bye everybody, have a good night or day, evening.